For 35 years out of Key Largo. That's what I do. My sons do it, and I'm president of the Florida Keys Commercial Fishermen's Association, who's putting this on. We're going to talk a little bit about the Florida lobster. The Florida lobster, is one of our mainstays in the Keys. It's our bread and butter. It's what we do, besides the stone crabs and the finfish. But we have a couple lobster tails here. We don't have the whole ones. I wish we did show you the whole lobster, but there's male and female lobsters. They have eggs, they breed, and if you want to look at them, you can see on the bottom here, this is a female. This is a female lobster where they have that's what they hold their eggs with, right here.
Okay.
And when we pull the traps, we look at every lobster, we flip them over.
You want me to test around?
Yeah, if you want to. This is a male, they can see how it's got, yeah, you can take that around for sure. And that's how they hold their eggs. And yeah, let you guys pass that around. Yeah, right. Yeah. We're gonna have it. We're gonna have that here. You got to sit through the demonstration to get a bite. So.
But bites are free, and we're not pushing anything except buying lobster over there.
But most of the people who trap lobster, we're under a lobster trap production program. There's 400 and some odd thousand traps in the fishery, and if they're trying to get the number down to 400,000 to make it a really sustainable, good fishery. It is a good fishery. It's not overfished. We had a bad year last year with the storm. The storm moved our traps around. We lost a lot of traps in the storm. Now, when you hear the traps are lost, please don't think that they're just laying on the bottom catching lobsters. They get destroyed. When the storm surge comes in, you see how much damage it does to the land. The traps just get destroyed. So, but we had a bad year. But this year's been a good year. A lot of lobster, a lot of production. And normal day for me, we usually leave the dock around 6 o'clock. We start pulling around 7 and work till 4. Come back in and put the lobsters in live tanks. And we come in and they're sold. All my lobsters go to China. And we keep them alive, and they come in and take the lobsters and pick through them and put them on a plane and send them to China. And does anybody have any questions before I go any further? The biggest ones you'll see, the biggest ones are over, a bigger one would be considered anywhere from 4 to 7 pounds, I'd say. I know further up you go up the coast, they get bigger because they don't harvest them. An average lobster for us right here is anywhere from a pound to 3 pounds is what we catch. Okay, sorry. Any other questions? Huh? Well, if we have as soon as we see, like I was telling you about the eggers, when we come in the boat, we look at the bottom side of the lobster. There's an orange, those eggs will be orange, bright orange. And as soon as we see that, it gets released right back in the water. And actually, they'll keep more lobsters out of your trap because they don't want nobody near them when they got the eggs on there. So we throw them back, and they do their thing. They lay their eggs. And was there any questions before I go on?
What's the trap? How much do you get for a pound and all that?
It changes. Like right now with the Chinese New Year coming up, it's anywhere from $10 to $12 right now.
So why is the Chinese a big market?
It's live. They're the ones who really want them. Yeah, they get shipped live. When we come in, they're in a live tank. They go in a crate. Then they go up to the distributors and they go in a cooler tank. They'll cool them off and slow their heart rate really slow. Then they'll put them in a box with fake straw, and then they ship them over there.
So no water?
No water when they get shipped. They put them to sleep, they say, because they put them they shock them cold, and it just slows them way. Their
Why do the Chinese want them live?
And then they bring them back.
Why do the Chinese
they put them back
live?
in warm water, and they come back to life when they get over to China.
So why do the Chinese want them live?
They like to look. They like everything live. They like the fish live. They have displays going down, in China, and it's a big thing. It's with the Chinese. I think it's more about status of having them, especially during their New Year and for weddings and celebrations. It's a big thing to have lobster at your event or when you're out eating.
So they pick them out of a live tank
Yeah, they have live tanks. Right. They from what I've seen, they go right out to the street, and you can pick them to draw people in, and they look at them and they pick which one they want and they have them. Yeah.
And when you get shovelhead lobsters in your...
You know about the shovel nose, huh?
Oh, they're great.
They're better than the regular. Yeah.
you separate them, or
What's a shovel
I
nose?
keep, they, you know,
Jill,
they don't want
what's
them
a
really. We
shovel-nosed
keep them
lobster?
for our own. They're like, you know,
What are they?
for family and friends.
Tell us what
A
they
shovel-nosed lobster. I wish I had one. I'll have one, but they don't have antennas. They don't look nowhere. They don't look anything like that. They got a flat, kind of a flat head on them, and we call them a bulldozer because they'll bulldoze in the sand and they'll bury up in the sand. But they're really sweet. They have a sweet taste to them, and that's a bycatch that we get. Mainly, we start catching them not in August, but like October, November, when the water starts cooling off.
So, one question I know people ask is, what's the difference between what we have here in Florida, the spiny lobster, and the type of lobster that you would get in Maine, for example?
Well, the claws, of course. These are a spiny Caribbean lobster, a warm water lobster. They have to be in. The furthest they go, maybe I think they've caught them up maybe a few up to Georgia, and they're bigger up there. But they go. These lobsters go all the way down through the Caribbean.
these tiny lobsters, they don't need claws to survive like they want.
No, that's just what they have up there is the claws. You know, like our lobsters, when we pull our traps, we use undersized lobsters as attractants. We have like the live tanks, and then we have a short tank, we call it, which is undersized, and we bait with the short lobster. And we do use other bait too. You asked me that question, and we use fish heads, cowhide. You know, some people use.
Cowhide? Is that what
Yep.
you said?
Some people use cowhide. I prefer fish heads, and I only bait the first 3 weeks of the year. Then I totally depend on the shorts for attractants, and we put them.
Because they eat them, or because
No,
they trap
they're very social.
Ah.
If you don't have another lobster in your trap, and somebody's got a trap next to you, your trap's not going to catch. Yeah, they're very social. Good. They like to lay them on the reef, and you'll see. I've seen them on the reef when I'm diving before. I wish I had one, because the females, like you see how it's got, see how the difference. And they have little like fingers at the bottom of them where they'll pick the eggs off and put them in the rocks and stuff like that.
He won't know.
It's just a big mass. It'll stick out this far off of the tail. Millions. Yeah.
Do it now.
Or hundreds of thousands. I wouldn't know the percentage on that, but there's a lot. Man, most of our lobsters that we catch here, we fish our lobsters, and they migrate. We get storms, and we fish in certain areas at the beginning of the year, and then we'll move our traps in the fall because they migrate. And then, like in the springtime when our season closes in March, at the end of March, I should say, they'll migrate up from the Caribbean. Our lobsters just say come from South America, and then they'll do their migration. They'll leave and they'll go out towards the Bahamas in October this time of year. Actually, we've had a longer year this year because we've had a really good pull in January, so they've hung around for a long time this year. But they do a migration.
So how many traps does your family put out?
Total with everything, we fish 2,900. Yeah.
Which
In the beginning of the year, we try to run them. It takes about 9 days. It takes to get around on everything. So, and as the season progresses, we give them a longer soak because they're not as fast. Like the Maine lobsters, like they were talking about, they go for the bait. When you bait those traps, they're after that bait. They get in there real quick. But sometimes these Florida lobsters, they'll mill around, and they can come. We have video of them come and going out of the traps even, and we give them a longer soak period this time of year, anywhere from 10 days to 20 days right now.
And the traps.
Yeah, there's traps all around here. They got a center, like the main traps. They have holes they go in the side, and then they'll have another section. They call it a parlor in the middle. We just have a center funnel where they crawl in the top, and then we open the top and get them out.
You get fish in your traps?
We do get fish.
What did you repeat the question so everybody knows?
This gentleman wants to know if we get fish in our traps. We call them junk fish, box fish, which we throw overboard. Or we get a pad fish and throw it overboard, and then we'll get a mutton snapper or a grouper. More eels come up sometimes.
What other bycatch?
That's about it.
lionfish?
Lionfish?
We do get lionfish. Yep. In certain areas, there's more. In the deeper water, there's more lionfish, and of course, nobody wants lionfish in their neighborhood, so we try to eradicate as many of those as we can.
You can sell them as bycatch.
Yeah, they're in a lot of the restaurants. I mean, I think after the storm, there's not as many. Where I fish out of Key Largo, we don't see as many out as I do further south.
How much do you get a pound for the lionfish?
I think they're like $2-3 a pound is what the wholesale price is.
6.
Sorry?
I heard Bill said they were about $6 a pound. And one of the fishermen.
See, I don't sell them.
Oh yeah, one of the fishermen. He got 30,000 pounds of
Yeah.
lionfish last year.
Maybe it is.
As a bycatch.
It could be 6. I remember I did
Yeah.
sell a few like 4 or 5 years ago. They were like, when they were first
Right.
coming out, it was like $2, but it could be 6.
Why are lionfish harmful to the environment?
They breed so fast. They eat everything, and they originally came from people having them in fish tanks, just like people having iguanas, just like people having the pythons up in the Everglades. People get tired of them. They got in the water and they adapted. I've heard they've caught lionfish all the way up to New England now.
Do they harm the lobster fishery?
They don't bother the lobsters. They're not. We don't have problems with them in a lobster fishery. Yes, sir.
What's a lionfish?
Have you ever seen an aquarium fish? The pretty fish. They got a bunch of spines sticking out. They're
Red and white,
exotic.
So they're native to the Pacific.
They're native to the Pacific. Yeah.
and they don't have any predators here.
They're poisonous too. If you get hit by one, they're very poisonous. Yeah.
And you can't just clean them like in a regular way. You have to know what you're doing to be able to clean them so that you don't poison the rest of the meat.
Yeah.
Sweet
as
white
well.
fish.
But it's a very, very sweet white meat. It tastes I think more like hogfish. I think, but it's really even sweeter than that. It's really good if you ever have a chance to taste it. What's your season?
Our season opens on August 1st. Well, actually, we got it moved this year because we went to the state and we're asking for a little more. It used to open up on July 21st. They changed it, but they reopened it now. It's the last Saturday of July. We start setting traps, and then we can start pulling them on the 6th of August. They buy both, but they prefer the Spinies because they're nicer. They hold their shape more. If you ever watch it, look at a mane, they're kind of droopy. They droop down. I'm sorry, they droop down a little bit. You know, they like the way that the Spinies look.
Meat tastes different.
Yeah, they're different. Yeah. Actually, I've never ate a mane once.
Maine lobster is typically sweeter, and we're gonna let you try this. The spiny lobster has the red. I'm not even sure. I'm sure there's a technical name on it. The orangey red part of it, and sometimes that can be a little tough. It all depends on how you cook it. So Ernie's going to tell you a little bit too about if you have the lobster, what the best way is to cook it.
The way we cook it here is we take the lobster tails and we'll boil them. We'll get the water boiling, put them in, and boil them for like 8 minutes. Then we take them out and split them, and then we put some butter on them. We'll put them on the grill and put the grill marks on them, and you're getting exactly how they're prepared here. And you guys, in a minute, are going to get a chance to try them and see. I'm sure you guys have had some already, but you get to have a few more. So,
Just take it off. Just take it off.
do you guys have any other questions? You know, or anything else you want to? Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir. Yeah. No, sir. I'm out of Key Largo.
So it's lobster rolls, Ernie. He's talking about a lobster roll.
No, I don't. They don't buy from me. Like I said, I'm out of Key Largo, so I don't sell to them.
Have you ever been to China?
No, sir. No.
Harry, repeat the question if you can.
Yeah, he wanted to know if I have ever been to China, and I no, I've never been over there. Anything else, you guys? Oh yeah, we've been, we get caught out in some storms in the summertime when we get, in the wintertime it gets rough. You get bad thunderstorms during the summertime. Because out of Key Largo where I fish, the Everglades get a lot of rain. So we get a lot of, I can say the lightning's the worst, when you get out there in those lightning storms. Rough weather, we could pick in the beginning of the year, we pick our days, I guess the roughest time I've ever had, we were hauling traps, it's been about 25 years ago, and we got caught in a bad storm, and I had a small boat then, and we took a wave and we rolled, and we lost, I think, 25 traps off the side. We almost rolled over. That was the roughest. Yeah.
Typically, what's the water depth that you catch the lobster at?
Where I fish anywhere from like 7 feet probably, out to 70 feet, but I used to fish out to 250, 260 is the deepest I've ever caught them is 260. Really good. I've tried 300, but I've never caught them out that deep. So. Oh yeah, it's a lot of line. Yeah, we fish those on trawl lines. It's multiple traps on a line out there in the deeper water. That way we can take a GPS number at each end of the line. If we lose the buoy, we can grapple the trawl back up. But I'm mainly a single buoy fisherman. I do have a few trawls, but we mainly fish. You know, yes, sir. It's expense. You know, the expenses are really high. You know, daily. For me, a normal day lobstering, just to turn the key, is about $700 just to leave the dock. I have two guys that work for me. My son is one of them, and I have another guy that works for me. And just to turn the key, and then you got insurance. That's just daily operation. That doesn't count replacing traps. You know, traps are $30, $35, $40 a piece. Then you have all your permits, insurance. There's a lot of overhead.
How long do the traps last?
Without a storm, anywhere 5 years is about the longest. Then we bring them in, we take the funnels off of them, we destroy them, and then we build new. It becomes a point with the trap where it gets unproductive. We call it turns sour and doesn't produce as good.
You had mentioned a smaller boat before.
Yeah.
What are the range and sizes of small boats?
A small boat in this fishery, anywhere from probably 20. I'd say there's some guys. Actually, there's another fishery that we have in the lobster fishery. It's called the bully net fishery, and there's guys with small bully nets. It's an upside down net, and they go along the flats. They have lights at night. They fish for them at night, and they drop the net right over the lobster, and then they pull the net sideways. The lobster goes in the net, and they catch them. It's a small boat fishery, and it doesn't cost as much money to get into. But anywhere from that, 20-foot boats like that, something like that, up to 65. My boat's 43 foot. What I fish now. That's what I have. Yeah. Any other questions, you guys? Did you guys try the lobster? I see you guys are. All right. Good.
So we had Hurricane Irma.
Yep.
And a lot of traps just ended up being ghosted, right? Because
Well, that's what I was just saying. A lot of them didn't get. Some of them, some of them washed up on the beach, but most of the traps got smashed. And we find big wads of buoys that we'd have to take. And our organization, which you guys are here for, we do trap cleanups. We clean up shoreline. We do stuff to keep the fishery. Like a lot of stuff gets washed. You'll still see scars from last year. And we have some cleanups coming this summer where we clean up the beach and get rid of all the trash that gets created from something like that.
So it's really important that we get those traps out of the water and the lines out of the water.
Yep.
Because on the way that those traps work, there's a long lead line that goes up to the balls, and you've probably seen around here we have lobster balls kind of hanging around, and that's each one of those balls is marked. And what color is your balls?
I have orange one.
Hey, Ernie, do you want to explain what the numbers are on the buoys?
Okay, we have a number. The numbers identify whose we are, and mine's C449. You'll see numbers up to 25,000, and I have orange. My color's orange, and everybody has a different color. You can pick your color. If there's a problem, with another guy, you can discuss it. But mainly, it goes by how long you've been fishing here.
So you can tell what each trap is fishing for by the letter in front of the number?
Well,
So a C or an X?
Right, like an X number is a stone crab trap, and then
Right.
a V is a blue crab trap. Yeah.
And a C? C is crawfish?
Yes, C is crawfish.
Okay.
So if you look at any of these buoys and you look at the numbers on it, you can get an idea.
You'll
of
see
what-
C and X on them. Yeah.
Is there a way for enforcement to tell who's fishing for what balls?
Yeah, we have markings on our boats on the side and on the roof, and we have the number, and
So the marking matches the color of the
it's all
buoy.
gotta go together.
Right.
Yeah, and they call it in. It's got a match number and registration on the boat. Yeah.
And so, does it happen very often that somebody will pull your traps or get into
Oh, yeah.
your traps? And what happens then?
I caught a guy about 10 years ago, red-handed, pulling our traps, and he wound up going to jail. We wound up we had to go to court. They had me on the stand for 5.5 hours because I'm the one who witnessed it, and he wound up getting convicted. So
It's a felony?
it's a felony. Yeah.
I fished off New Jersey years ago, and we went out to the county, and then they can't anchor them so deep there. And they tied up there. You guys sometimes?
They do. People that don't rent boats and stuff do that, but we don't protect. really, as the law reads in Florida, it's you cannot touch trap, rope, and/or buoy. You know. Yeah, because you'll drag the trap off. I mean, them trawl lines up north there, they're so big and long, you probably wouldn't drag it with a small boat.
Right.
But it's just not good to tie. Some people do it by, negligence, and they don't know. So it does happen though. And one of us guys will know that, and we'll ask you to untie from it most of the time,
So if you're out fishing and you accidentally catch a buoy, as a fisherman, what would you want?
You mean with your prop?
Like if it gets into their prop and you have to cut it or whatever?
Most of the time if you get one in your prop, the buoy's gonna be tangled up and it's gonna be destroyed. The best thing to do is just try and get it out. A lot of the guys have everything on GPSs now. Try not to drift too far with it, Most of the time you're gonna have to cut it off if not untangling it. So.
And then that way they can go back and know kind of where they're.
A lot of the times we can go back and grapple the trap up.
Because how much?
Sorry? Anywhere, like I said, anywhere from 5 feet. I've caught them from 5 feet out to 260 feet.
So about the traps that are out here, tell them do you make the traps yourself? Do you get the wood?
Some people build their own. Some people, buy them. We build everything. We make everything our own to our specs. We put concrete. We put concrete in the bottom. We put our stamp in the bottom, and then we put our tag from the state of Florida on the trap.
And if somebody wanted to just start lobster fishing, what would that entail?
A lot of money.
Why?
Yeah. No, I started out with just 2 traps when I first started and worked my way up to what I have now. But you gotta have. First thing you gotta have to do is get a restricted species, license. You have to work on a boat, and you have to work your way into that. And then you gotta buy the tags, which the tags go from anywhere from $100 to $170 a piece.
So are they just limitless tags out there?
No, there's 400 build right there. You know how many tags there are, but 400 and some odd thousand in the fishery right now.
So each trap has to have a tag.
We buy that costs us $1 from the state, and we own that allotment of traps.
So how do you get the tag initially? So if the tag costs 100,
initially I was allotted so many when the program first started by the pounders that I caught, and then you could buy and sell them. Like if you wanted to buy some from me, if you had a license and everything, you could.
Shrimp garbage, lobster down, lobster down.
You could buy them. We can exchange amongst each other.
so I would have to start fishing with you and catch a certain amount of lobster with you.
You have to have a restricted species license.
Right, but to get the RS.
To get the lobster.
Right, so you have to catch a certain amount of fishery to be able to get the restricted species license before you can get that, and then you can start to buy tags.
Unless you buy a saltwater products license, and then you catch some other fish that are not a restricted species.
Okay.
You have to have, like, mates on the back of the boat can earn it by having $5,000 worth of revenue that come off our boat, pay off our boat. They can qualify for a restricted species.
So what we got going on with the rest of your program, Ernie?
Right now with this?
Yeah. What are we gonna?
That's it. We're pretty
Oh, just question and answer.
They've already,
Okay.
Any other questions or answers? But they already seen the lobsters, and we talked about everything. Whatever else you guys want to ask or know, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Yeah, where can they find us today?
Right where I'm going back to the lobster booth. Thank you.
So there's no
Thank you, guys.
limit on how many lobsters you can get. Like a fishing license, you're only allowed so many fish per day.
No, like when we go on the commercial, we can catch any, as many as we can per day. It's the most, try and work as hard as you can to catch the most per day.
So it's
No limit.
There's no limit. There's no
Luck?
limit on the amount of traps.
a little bit of luck
Right.
and a lot of knowing, how to make your
It
traps.
takes a lot. I've seen a lot of guys come and go. They get into it and they think it's easy. It's easy watching somebody do something. It'd be like me trying to go and farm. Yeah.
So what's your average catch per year, poundage?
Anywhere between 25 and 40,000 pounds per year.
And did somebody already ask what's the biggest
Yes,
one you
they
ever
did.
caught? And
Yeah.
I didn't hear the answer.
They ask how big they get.
How was the biggest you've caught?
The biggest one I've caught is almost 6 pounds.
Keep it?
Yeah, we sold it. Yeah.
To eat?
Yeah, we sold it. Yeah.
To get taxidermy?
No. No. Yes, sir.
How do you figure out where you're going to put your traps? I mean, everybody can't put them in the same spot. You guys you take this area, take that area.
Again, you try different spots as you start fishing, and then there's turf, little turf war there, here and there. Some people don't like you in their area, but you can fish anywhere you want. Sometimes you catch a little grief over it, or if you're a younger guy like when I was, I caught grief over it. You had to earn respect from the older guys. Yeah.
But you have to know. I mean, you have to know like what kind of bottom it is there.
The bottom. I prefer fishing, like with me, I prefer fishing in the sandy bottom. We don't fish. I don't fish any on the reef. All my stuff's either in the sand or the grass. If you put them on the reef, you'll catch a lot of the junk fish, as we talked in earlier.
How far apart can you put them?
And it depends on the bottom, what you're setting. Like the sand edges. If you're setting a sand edge, anywhere from 300 yards. Some people fish them closer. Some people fish them 2 boat lengths apart. I'm probably about 300 yards apart on mine. And on the trawl lines, like I was telling you, they're about 200 feet apart.
What do lobsters eat in the wild?
They eat all kinds of, anything, on the bottom. They're a scavenger. They eat everything on the bottom.
So where do they spend their days versus nights?
Lobsters, like I was telling you about the bully netting, my son does a little bit of that on the side. And you won't see any on the bottom, but they bury themselves in the grass. They'll lay the lobsters will lay their antennas back and look like the grass. And you'll be in the same area, and you'll go around. As soon as it gets dark, you'll just see those start coming out. And then of course they get in the rocks and coral heads and stuff too.
Because they're nocturnal.
Yep. They don't like the moon that's full right now. We catch less lobsters on a full moon because other predators like to eat them, and the full moon slows the production down for us. So,
what predators do they have in the wild?
Everything. Yeah. We're a pretty good predator. Yeah. But everything likes lobster out there. That's why the moon affects them so much.
Nurse sharks, I hear, are a big
nurse
predator.
sharks, hold on.
Yeah.
That's why nurse sharks taste like lobster.
Yeah. Anything else, you guys?
One thing that I also will point out is that there is a recreational lobster season as well.
Mini season.
Yes. And so you can come here to the Keys, and there's several boats that'll take you out to have that kind of excursion. Typically, you do it with a wetsuit, or you do it snorkeling. And can you tell them more about how that works? They have the
They have the net, tickle stick, and the net, which people use, or you can use the snare. A lot of people use the snare, which you take the lobster and get behind it and snare his tail. But that's the last Wednesday and Thursday of July, and then after the Saturday after, that's when we put traps in. But they have it's a head start before.
As a recreational fisherman, how many can you take like that?
During mini season, I think it's 6 per person,
always 6.
which is 12 for the 2-day season total per person. And a day count is 12 per person per day.
So each area may be different, so you always want to check and see what the regulations are where you are, just like when you're fishing for anything.
And usually, if you ever do come down for mini season, they have a FWC has a van set up in Key Largo where you get all the information from.
Thank you guys for coming.
Yeah, thank you guys. Enjoy your festival. Thanks for coming and supporting us. You're supporting a lot of fishing families here, and a lot of the money some of the money you're spending is going back to scholarships, which we give back to our kids in the community. So it's all going for a good cause, and we appreciate you guys coming.
We'll have demonstrations on the top of the hour. The next one is called Shrimp to Nuts, and we'll have some Key West pinks for you to sample at that demonstration with one of our chefs.